Hey gang, welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. Today's video is part 2 in the 56 Chevy gasser conversion project. Now, I've talked about it in the first video. This is a car we did at our shop years ago. It was a stock configuration car, so it had a 350 engine in it and a 4-speed, and it is being converted to take a gasser style straight axle front end. In the first video, I also pointed out there were some problems with the frame piece that I got shipped to me, or actually shipped to the owner, and then he brought it to me. And I'm going to try to remedy some of that. Now, the process involves cutting off the front frame somewhere in that area, and then piecing in the other piece and welding it, making sure everything's square. So what I want to do right now is try to resolve the problem I have with the front section that was sent to me. I mentioned it in the other video. It's out of square somewhat, and I think I can remedy that, but I wanted to make sure that it was identified that there was a problem with that before I continued on. So at this point, what I want to do is I'm going to take apart basically the suspension part of this. I want to remove the axle, the leaf springs, and the shocks, just so I have just the frame to deal with. It'll be a lot easier to handle and manipulate. And even if I get to the point of getting it into the location on the new, cuts on the frame, it's easier to use just that short piece, the frame rails by themselves. So let me get this apart, and then we'll take another look at it. So that's the heavy part, because I know this doesn't weigh much of nothing. Alright, so I put the axle on some dollies. That is definitely heavier when you're trying to lift it like a barbell. Each end isn't bad, but overall, yeah, you're better off having probably 2 people. So now I have the frame standing up here, and with that off, I kind of want to do another measurement. So I'm going into that corner, I'm pushing the tape against that corner, coming up here, and it's probably 52, and if you go to that very edge, say 9/16, if you really want to be kind of accurate on that. So going the other way, same location on the other side, 53 1/4. So it's still about 3/4 of an inch off dimensionally, which is actually 3/8 of an inch, because when you move one side one direction, the other one changes as well. So what I need to do is I'm going to cut that bar off and see if that lets it spring back into place. Let's hope so. don't know if you saw that. Not sure if you saw that, but when I cut that loose, look at the gap that has now, and it kind of sprung up. So I'm going to stand this back up, take some more measurements, and see what it says. Okay, so this is after the cut. Go in that corner, and no change. Go the other way. No change. So, things that make you go, I'm going to have to try to figure something else out to make this change. Okay, that didn't seem to really change anything. So, my plan now, I'm going to continue moving forward with removing the front frame section of the car, and I may be able to use the actual frame of that car to help index this correctly. I hope that I don't have to cut anything loose other than that piece of stock back there. I do have an email going to the company to see what they can say about it. I'm going to say that it was probably damaged in shipping, but I can't see where they're going to want to send another one out and deal with all that sort of thing. And I really feel like I can fix this, but it may come down to actually cutting some welds loose. Maybe, maybe not completely off, but I could cut through the midsection of this, leave it attached up here, cut through the midsection of this, leave it attached down here, and then angle it to get it to the correct position. So that's my kind of thought process at the moment, but I will move on and get the car leveled up and maybe start cutting that front end off. Okay, so I'm in the middle of leveling the car. I have the front lifted, have jack stands under the frame, and I'm working on the back. I'm going to turn this light off and show you something. Maybe it'll pick up a little better. But what I have is a laser level. And this is something I picked up yesterday from Harbor Freight. They were on sale. I actually got 2 of these. And now I have a line on the frame, so I can use that as a reference to make sure that I have the frame level. Okay, so I have the car level front to rear on both sides based on the laser levelers. Now what I need to do is be concerned with the level left to right. So I'm using what I have available, and that is the core support mount. To me, that should be level, and you can see the bubble is slightly to the passenger side. If I come up here to the top of the cowl, same thing, just slightly. It's very, very close. But what I need to do is raise the whole whole driver's side just a little to try to level out left to right. From there, my next concern is the height of this mount point. Now if you'll notice, this has a little kickdown flange here in the front, and it actually kind of angles up from this transition point. So my plan is to take a plate of steel. I'll probably clamp it down with a pair of vice grips and measure to the bottom edge of this plate, and that way I don't have to worry about this little interference here. And then on the new piece, I can do the same thing. I can clamp this to that plate, measure to the bottom, and have my correct height. Another thing. So with that height being taken care of, the other thing I want to be concerned with is my front to rear, right? So you'll notice that there are marks here on both of these frame rails. That was the center line for the axle. That's their reference point. I can use that. When I come back to the car, what I want to do is, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, I'm going to take those lasers and center them up on the axle in the rear and in the front and measure, and the directions say I should have 115 inches from the center of that to the center of this. I can do that on both sides and determine if I have this at 0, let's say. Once I have that figured out, I can even put an index on the floor, because I'm not moving the car again. Put an index on the floor, and when I set the new piece in place, I can use those lines that are on the markings that are on those frame rails should be at 115 inches. At least that's how I see it. So I'm going to continue on and get the passenger or the driver's side up slightly, level it out, and then continue on from there. Okay, as you can see, I've removed the wheels from the car, made it a little bit easier to do what I want to do. I did level out everything, so now this bubble's sitting nice. Looks good up there too. And what I plan to do now, or what I want to show you, is I've taken the lasers and I've centered them up on the front rotor and also on the rear axle. And in doing so, I can shine the laser all the way underneath the vehicle to the other side, and I'll show you what I did over there. And I also laid out tape measures. Now this is, I'm using the 1-inch line because I thought that was easier than trying to use the end of the tape measure. So this is, of course, the driver's side. Come over to the passenger side, and I hung a plumb bob. Center line. There's the point where it reaches the laser, so I know that it's in the right location. And I'm also on the 1-inch mark. Can't see it with the light on, but 1-inch mark on this side. Up front here, I've used a level and basically centered on the cap for the rotor, and it comes down, and because I'm at 1 inch, I'm using 1/16 for my measurement instead of 1/15. And then of course over here, same thing, laser, center line, and it's on the 1/16. So this is really, really close. I don't think I could do much else to make it work better, but at this point I have everything lined up. Now what I want to do is, I can't leave this, I could kick this around and lose my line, so I will lay some tape or something on the floor on that line so that I have a reference that I can go back to, and that way once I cut off the front end, I still have a reference point. I don't have to stress over it too much. So I think this is going to work. Well, I think I was making good progress. I know I was making good progress. Unfortunately, I have to stop. I've done the measurements on that frame, and I discovered that it was out of square. I sent an email to Checkered Racing. I sent them pictures. I gave them measurements so that they could see what was going on. And they contacted me and said, hey, we're going to pick it back up and start over, basically. So I took apart the frame. I had it set up here to start measuring to get ready to cut this, and I have to stop. So now the plan is to reassemble all of this back together so that I can put it back on a pallet and get it back ready for shipping, and they're going to send FedEx back to pick it up. There's a good chance I could have saved it. I tried to do I didn't get crazy with it. I was just trying to manipulate it with my body weight and, you know, try different things to see if I could get it to move at all. But I understand, if I had taken this thing and cut it loose, if I had cut that centerpiece out and just did my own thing, that doesn't work, because the company that sells this, it's on them. You know, if they see or I did some sort of modification, then I don't know, it could be a whole big problem. So it's better off this way. I don't know how long it's going to take to get this corrected, so I'm going to probably just have to stop on the 56 again. I was really looking forward to getting some cuts made and getting this apart and starting, you know, putting it back together, but not going to happen, not this week. So I'll move on, try to get something else done, but that'll be the end of this video. So thanks for watching. I hope you got some information from what I was sharing, how I was measuring and all that sort of thing. I will have some more information moving forward when we do get this piece back, and hopefully we can finish it, get it back together. But thanks for watching, and until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.